Does anyone know who knows the song to whom he appoints as governor of Syria? Who becomes governor of Syria?
Muawiyah,
Father of Yazid.
Right, father of Yazid. Okay, so this is important. This is who? Okay. Uthman is the caliph, right? And of course, at this point, Islam is expanding. They're getting territories, people are converting in massive numbers, right? And they're establishing political states. They have governors, right, to control these new territories, to institute the new laws, right? There's a whole legal system that's sort of emerging with this, with all of these revelations. Can you see over here? Yeah, you can see it, okay. So he appoints Muawiyah. And here they're saying, okay, now, yes. Muawiyah, Yazid. He's going to come, we're going to talk about him in a minute. Yazid. Uthman appoints Muawiyah as governor of Syria. Now, a series of it sort of leads into a series of problems. One is that, well, there are two main problems. Ali decides to try to negotiate, right? He sees all these tensions emerging, and he tries to negotiate the new regime. On the one hand, some of his supporters say, great, we don't want tension, we don't want strife, we want to just get over this and create peace in our community. The problem is, there is another group that says, wait a minute, why are you negotiating over truth? There's no negotiation over truth. Ali is supposed to be the leader, not Uthman or his appointed governor in Syria eventually, but Ali. Truth is truth. God is God, no negotiation, right? And with that comes another schism, you get a group of people who basically defect. They leave Ali's camp, and they're called, I know this is a lot, they're called the Kharajites. The word Kharaja means to leave, to exit. Kharajites. And they exit the camp of Ali.
Oman, there's a third group of religion. Is this the Kharajites in Oman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But that comes later.
Okay, later on. Okay.
Later. So the Kharajites are another group, and they're seen as kind of extremists in the sense that they are absolute. They're not up to this negotiation stuff. Truth is truth, right is right, God is God, Ali is negotiating. Okay. Now, Uthman is assassinated. And when Uthman is assassinated, the community agrees that Ali should be the next killer. So Ali finally accepted. But who isn't happy, you think? Ali? Well, Ali's happy because he's Muawiyah said, wait a minute. What about me? Right? So you can imagine in Shia history, people are not only not called Uthman, but they're definitely not called Muawiyah, and they're not going to be called Yazid. Right? Yeah.
The tribe of Umar, Banu Umayyah, weren't they upset about this too?
The Umayyad?
Yeah.
Well, they are because of Muawiyah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll get to that. We'll try. Okay. So Ali becomes the caliph. Muawiyah is not happy. Yazid is not happy. The Kharijites are still not happy even though Ali becomes because he arbitrated. And what? Why are they not
I don't
happy?
understand why they wanted Ali to be leader, but they also left.
Yes. Because he's tainted. Right? They think that they're happy that he's the leader, but they think he's not the same, right? He's tainted. He arbitrated. He gave in. That means his principles are not what they should have been. He did not follow the correct path. And so even though, they're happy that he's the leader, he sort of tainted the mission. He tainted the message because he didn't follow. Okay. Now, the controversies don't end. The controversies don't end. Ali is killed. And who becomes governor? Well, who becomes the leader? Muawiyah. Okay. The problem is, Ali had two sons. We'll get more of it. Hassan and Hussein. Yes.
Who killed Ali radiallahu anhu? Who killed him? Kharijites.
So what we're
Okay.
believed. Now, Ali had two sons. Hassan, Ali's older son, and Muawiyah have a tension, and Hassan also relents Muawiyah. So Hassan, also in the name of peace, says, okay, you can have the caliphate. Now this angers the Kharijites even more. Right? And some Shia. Right? Okay. So Muawiyah establishes these four figures, Abu Bakr, Umar, Usman, and Ali, are known as the Rashidun, the four rightly guided killers. So yes, there are tensions that I've described, but in general, at least among the vast majority of Sunni Muslims, their reflections on what is right and good are taken at face value, right? They're accepted. Is everyone following me? So yes, there are tensions, especially with Uthman, but Uthman did a lot for the community. One of the most famous, most important things he did was to compile and bring together the revelations into the form that we know of as the Quran, as a text. Because up to that point, there were revelations in sort of compiled, but there wasn't one authoritative version. Is everyone following me? And Uthman did that under his leadership. And so, on the one hand, politically, he's part of this elite and he's a problem. On the other hand, he did this other incredible service to the community, and so is admired for that. Is everyone? So he's not like all bad by any means. So these people are known as the rightful guide. Now, when Muawiyah becomes the caliph after Ali, because Hassan sort of slinks away, he says, okay, battling for is not good. I want peace. I'm just going to go and I'm going to have my supporters and so on. When Muawiyah establishes a new kind of dynasty, he moves the realm, the center of power, away from the Arabian Peninsula to, is anyone aware?
To Damascus.
To Damascus. Damascus in Syria, the capital of Syria, was the center of the Islamic Empire from the 8th century. Right? So the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus is actually from late in the 7th century into the 8th century. The Umayyad. And these people, this Quraysh, they're from the Muawiyah, Usman, and Yazid, are from a clan called the Bani Umayyad, or the Umayyad clan. And they're the ones that people say, well, we had a revolution to get rid of these people. And now, they're in power again. And not only are they the leaders, they've established their own capital. They've moved to Syria. So the center of Islam, and it's becoming an empire, it's huge, is now in Damascus. Is everyone following, or are you like, is this way too much? We're good?
That's right. So it was in before Damascus.
So before Damascus, it was in Mecca.
It was in Mecca. Okay.
Right. They had gone. The community in Medina went back to Mecca.
Okay.
So it was pretty, like, it was Syria. This was the capital.
Was Kufa by this time a very important city or capital?
Yes, Kufa was also a very important city in Iraq. Yeah.
Which caliph specifically moved the capital?
Muawiyah. Muawiyah.
The year
61.
What is that for?
That's the establishment of the Umayyad. After Ali died, the establishment of the Umayyad Caliphate based in Syria. Okay. The story's not over. But everyone's following these. Ali's gone, he's dead. Hassan has sort of slunk away, agrees that Muawiyah is going to establish his own. But of course there are people, followers of Ali, who still say, okay, we're not going to fight this. We're not going to fight a big battle, but we're going to continue our own beliefs anyway and follow Hassan and the other brother Hussein. Is everyone with me? So even though the political power and the money is all sort of based in Damascus with the Muawiyah as ruler of this vast Islamic empire, you have a kind of dissident group that continues to follow descendants of Ali. You also have the Kharijites, they're doing their own thing. They're still not, they don't go to Hassan and Hussein, they've given up on them. They're like, you know what? Because Hassan also slunk away. Like, what is this? Who are these people? Right? Stand up. But the ideology from Ali and Hassan is to like, we're not going to fight this. We're not going to kill each other. If you want to go do what you want to do, fine. We believe what we believe, and we're just going to believe our own thing. In the overall message. Is everyone following this? Okay. So, now, Muawiyah then makes a kind of fatal mistake in terms of the community and potentially bringing it back together. I don't think he thought it was a fatal mistake, and maybe others don't, but for the potential of bringing the community together, it was a mistake. Which was, he appointed his son, Yazid, to succeed him. So, from the perspective of the supporters of Ali and everyone else, we now have 3 generations of the elite back in power. Not just one that everyone sort of kind of said, okay, well, he's elite, but we'll accept him. Or his cousin who, okay, he was appointed, he was a good military leader, let's accept him. But then Muawiyah appointed his own son as the next caliph of the Umayyads.
Just little back, I want to go. Abu Sufyan, he was dead by this time, right?
Yes.
Oh, and he was from Banu Umayyad, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Muawiyah appoints Yazid as governor, as the next caliph, at which point all these other people who've been supporting Ali and Hassan go to Hussein and say, enough is enough. We are not going to take this anymore. This is ridiculous. You have to fight Yazid. You have to deal with this and not let Islam become another just political dynasty of power. Is everyone following this? Okay. So, this is when, and then we'll sort of move on, but this is a really critical historical moment. In 680, we have a battle, and there are a bunch of battles, so I'm not going to make you memorize that unless you do anthropology as well, and get all of this in one. In 680, there's a battle of Karbala in Iraq, town of Iraq, present Iraq, and Hussein is on his way to deal with, engage with, finally just get this behind them with Yazid, and there is a battle in Karbala where Hussein and his entire entourage are killed by the supporters and Yazid's military. Okay. When that happens, that is when you get the sort of solidifying of the divergence between Sunnism and Shiism. Because it is at that point that the supporters of Ali, or who were the supporters of Ali, Hassan, and Hussein, from the perspective of the Shia, and then also the perspective of the Sunni, right? From the perspective of the Shia, Muawiyah and Yazid, especially, have just murdered the grandson of Muhammad, right? Hassan and Hussein are Muhammad's daughter's sons, Fatima's sons. And Yazid's army just killed them. And so from the perspective of the Shia, how is this possible? Here we have the prophets of God and our own military killing them? I mean, what happened, right? And when that happens, the community of Ali and Hassan and Hussein really splinter off and say, we are our own thing. We are not going to, really engage with you. We are setting up our own sort of understanding. And how that manifests in terms of the doctrine and theology is really interesting. Because in Shiism, the idea is that God revealed knowledge to humanity through Muhammad. And that truth, that knowledge, was then passed on through direct genealogy, through direct descent to Ali, then to Hassan, and to Hussein, and to their direct descendants. So the idea is that truth is something that comes through these direct descent. So the leader of the community is both a pure leader in terms of a policy, a political leader and a community leader, but also in terms of theology, in terms of doctrine. Is everyone following? On the Sunni side, Sunnis see this as a tragedy. This is a terrible thing that happened. This should not have happened. Right? That said, Hassan and Hussein should not be the caliphs because there are no humans who have absolute pure truth and knowledge. Only God does. And we have our caliphs, we have our leaders, but they are more sort of political leaders. Right? They aren't bearers of light in the same way that Shia see these people. They don't see them, they don't, worship them, they're not God, they recognize that. But there's a different approach and understanding to the role of this leader. You're going to ask me a question.
Yeah, I was trying to say, even in Sunnism, Yazid is a negative character.
Yes. Even if so, because he made a huge mistake.
mistake.
His army killed Hussein. So this is a tragedy. Yazid, you're not going to find people named Yazid. No one's named Yazid. No one names their kid Yazid. Right? Has anyone met a Yazid? No. Right? I mean, you're like, that would be absurd. Right? You would find Sunnis who name their kid Usman, of course. And even Muawiyah. I met Muawiyah. But a Shia would never name a kid Muawiyah, never mind Usman. But Yazid, even the Sunnis would not name their kid Yazid. Yes?
What was the name of the group that Hussein was with when they were battling the army?
Well, it became the Shia.
But at that time, what were they known as? Or it just wasn't just
They were named as, sometimes they're known as the followers of Ali.
Oh.
They were the followers of Ali. That's all. The supporters of Ali, the community of Ali. Right? And, that the notion of the Shia, really solidified after this. Now, this battle, 680, so over 1,000 years ago, right? This battle is commemorated every year among Shiites. Right? So there's basically a kind of a passion play, a reenactment every year of this battle. So, a battle that happened over 1,000 years ago is something that is within living, sort of embodied reproduction every year. And the figure of Yazid comes to represent in contemporary reenactments lots of people. So in Iran, at the time of the revolution, Yazid was the Shah. Yazid was Jimmy Carter, right? Because that figure is the bad, the evil figure, right? So it is reenacted every day, but in terms of contemporary life, that symbolism, sort of the semiotics, right, of this battle takes on whatever contemporary issues is going on. Now, it depends on, some countries don't let these reenactments happen because they have political variance, right? So people worry every year in countries that are Shia minority or like a slight Shia majority, like in Bahrain, when there's a Shia majority, and yet the ruling power is Sunni. Every year when there is the commemoration, when that month comes around, there is tension because it's not simply about Sunni and Shia 7th century battle. It's about now, right? And it's about political power now. And then people use this reenactment to enact contemporary political tensions. Is everyone following? Okay?
So in other words, in Bahrain, they don't allow Shias to do mutilation.
Well, part of, the actual reenactment is also in itself controversial. not only because of the passion play of the reenactment of the battle, but part of the practices involved in the reenactment is a self-flagellation. Everyone know what a flagellation is? Self-pity, right? This is something that ascetics, like Christians, would also do. It's like you hurt yourself to understand the pain that someone else went through and the pain of the community. And the self-flagellation that accompanies some of these passion plays, not all of them, is bloody and emotional. And people and states are opposed to this whole thing, not only because of the political thing, but this image of people hurting themselves with blood. It's like with metal, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's, people will hit themselves with metal chains. And if you hit yourself with a metal chain on your back, it's going to start bleeding, right? And people get really riled up about this because it's reenacting this tragedy, but also because it's reenacting some political issue. Okay, and so the controversy over it. So sometimes states will say, okay, we can mark this, it's a month from Haram, we'll mark this time of this battle, but we're not going to do X, Y, and Z of the passion play. We're not going to do the self-flagellation. We do the performance, right? It's it's like a traveling troupe. You reenact battles, like Civil War reenactments, right? It's a reenactment of this battle. But part of the processions that engage this reenactment can be the self-flagellation, and that's what you're referring to. So yeah, sometimes states will ban that part of it, but not the other parts. Okay. Other questions about this? It's a lot. Yeah. Are you sure? Okay. It's a lot of names, it's a lot of individuals, I know. But I'm trying to keep it as sort of straightforward, but also to emphasize how significant this is. Okay. So, what we have from this period on is two major communities who end up deciding that they're not always going to be in battle, they're not always going to be in tension, of course. But you have two dynasties that are established. Sunni dynasty. The Umayyad dynasty, as we've said, from 661 to 750. Now I'm talking about Sunni dynasty, based in Damascus, right? In 750, you have another kind of a revolution. I'm not going to go into the details of this, just going to too much. But you have another empire known as the Abbasid Empire, and that goes from 750 to 1250 or 1250. And the Abbasid Empire, right, like you can see, this is 500 years, right? This is a huge empire.
So just a question pop up. Uthman,
Yeah.
he also married to the two daughters of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So why he's not seen as a family member? I mean, I know he's from different tribe, but he married to two daughters of Prophet Muhammad.
Well, because he's not, they were all part of the tribe,
Yeah.
as you said. He married the daughter, but he wasn't a cousin.
Oh, okay, that's
Ali was a cousin,
that's
so he was not only a son-in-law,
Yes.
but he was a cousin.
cousin too. Okay.
So, yes, Uthman's children would be descent, but by that point, Ali's a closer
relative.
right? He's a much closer relative. And Uthman carries with him the baggage of having come from this particular clan, this elite clan. So the Abbasid dynasty follows the Umayyad dynasty, and the Abbasid dynasty establishes its capital in Baghdad.
Or like,
It wasn't so well a military coup.
or it's like something.
Yes. So basically, what happens is the Umayyad dynasty. It begins on a kind of a sour note, right? Like, there's no way around it. People recognize its power. It does a lot for the empire, but it already and always has some disgruntled people. And as the empire expands, the Umayyad dynasty has less and less control over the provinces. So what happens is the provinces come in and attack the Umayyad center and move the center to. So in a way, the Abbasids are kind of avenged, right? But, I mean, that's not how it's really seen, but yes, basically as the Umayyad dynasty expands, it is unable to control much of its provinces. And the provinces, leaders who have actually gone towards Iran, that side, right? Battle, take control, and move the leadership and establish a new dynasty centered in that. And this dynasty, the Abbasid, as you see, I mean, it is a long dynasty. And there are popular killers and not so popular killers, right? There are highly admired killers and less highly admired killers. Right? And a caliph now is, the head of the Muslim community for the Sunnis. Okay. One of the Abbasids are known as the supporters of philosophy primarily. So it is under the Abbasids where you get the establishment of the sort of very deep philosophical tradition in Islamic history. It is the era under the Abbasids that the Greek philosophers are translated and brought back into Europe. Europeans, Greek philosophy is gone, right? But who translates Aristotle and Plato? It's the Arabs. They're the ones who are not only translating it, but thinking through it in relationship to religion. That is, where does truth come from? Where does knowledge come from? All of that. How do we think of language? There's the incredibly expansive philosophical tradition from Aristotle and Plato that is transformed, translated, and reintroduced into Europe from the Abbasids. Is everyone following? And it is there, for example, and I think Gelvin gives you a great sense of, for example, on page 20 to 21, he just gives you some Arabic terms that are now in English, right? Admiral, adobe, albatross, alchemy, alcohol, alcove, al is done, right? All of them. Alfalfa, algebra, algorithm, alkali, almanac, amber, amulet, aniline, antimony, apricot, arsenal, artichoke, assassin, atlas, aubergine, average, azimuth. So it goes on and on and on. So all these terms that we take as English or Indo-European are Arabic, right? And part of it is that it comes through the expansion of the Arabic and the Islamic Empire, not only from eastern Iran, but into Spain, but also through philosophy and science and medicine. Right? So, because where is modern medicine from? It's from this period, right? Under the Abbasids, because the Abbasids were huge patrons of philosophy, of the arts, of mysticism too. Debates with mysticism are a huge thing. Okay. Now, these are the big empires. Well, we're going to continue. There are numerous smaller empires that pop up. And these aren't, some of them have religious inflections, some of them are just political right? As the Abbasids become purveyors of the arts, philosophy, and so on, they are less associated with religiosity, except that they establish and support a class of scholars. Basically, when we're talking about the Rashidun and the Umayyads, the leaders are themselves also scholars, to some extent, more or less. By the Abbasid period, the caliphs aren't really themselves scholars. But what they do, now we have sort of an empire, massive state. What they do is not only appoint governors from here, there, and the other, but they also establish a kind of class of scholars called the ulama. Ilm, in Arabic, just means knowledge. So these are people with knowledge. And what it means is they have knowledge of law, they have knowledge of theology, right? They have knowledge of philosophy. And so you have the situation where you have the political rule and you have the religious rule. And they need each other. Right? Political rule meets religious rule to say we are legitimate leaders. And the religious leaders need the political leaders to remain in power. Right? Okay. But of course, it raises tensions because sometimes they don't agree with that. Sometimes they put them in jail. Right? They don't agree with them. So it's sort of this give and take. Okay? In the meantime, of course, you still have the Shia. And Shia have their own leaders. Their leaders are called caliphs. Right? Who are mostly political leaders, mundane political leaders, right? With support of a religious cause to maintain their legitimacy, right? The Shia, their leaders are called imams. Imam with a capital I. Not imam, the word imam is like the sort of prayer leader in a mosque, right? That's, in Arabic you don't really have a distinction that you can't really do it. You do it like with a lowercase I, right? It's someone who leads the prayer in a mosque, or someone who you have a lot of respect for, what you call imam. But imam with a capital I, in Shiism, would be Ali, Hassan, Hussein, and a series of them.
12 of them, right? 12 of them.
12 of them in the prominent group of the Shia. So there are 12 of them for most 12ers. For most Shia, there are 12 of these people. Yes?
Were they religious activities?
Yes, mostly religious. Mostly religious. Now, they were scattered. There was no, there were different communities of Shia in the region. They weren't necessarily in one place. Let me just say, you mentioned the word 12, or let me just explain what this is. So, remember how I said in Shiism the idea that knowledge comes as light, the metaphor of light, I think is very helpful in that. Of knowledge from one to the other. The majority of Shia understand that there were 12 of these imams, and in Shiism, the belief is that the 12th of these imams went into what is called occultation. Do you know what occultation is? What is occult? Is it somebody's cult? Exactly. So he went into hiding. The belief is that there is this 12th imam that is sort of disappeared, gone into hiding. And in preparation for the end, this 12th Imam will return. It's like a Messiah, right? A Mahdi, the word. Okay, but there are other groups of Shia who don't believe the 12, they believe there are 6, or they believe there are 8, or, it's like any religion, there are different groups within, but the majority are 12. Okay? Now, you have the Abbasids based in Baghdad. You have then, and they really control the vast majority of this territory that we know of in the Middle East. But there are smaller groups all over the place. I'm going to fast forward into the 13th century. Okay? I'm going to fast forward into the 13th century, where you get the establishment of not only a bunch of smaller empires again, leaders, dynasties, right? This is a huge territory, as you know, right? But you get the establishment of, again, 2 major dynasties after the 13th century. And you know what's so interesting? Guess where they are? One dynasty empire is the Ottoman Empire. And then you have a series of bunch of dynasties, but eventually you get the Safavid dynasty. And you know what's so interesting? Where are they based? Where is the capital of the Ottoman Empire? Istanbul. So they took over from the Byzantines, right? And the Ottoman Empire, anyone knows the dates? Now that is long. Right? We're like some small little, blip in history, right? Based in Istanbul. The Safavid, in 1736, I remember that, 1722. In the reading, sometimes it's 1722, sometimes it's 1730. So the Safavid Empire, which gets established much later, right? We're talking 200 years, right? As long as the U.S. has been around, right? We're just going to jump into the time here. Yes.
The Safavid came under a guy, a 14-year-old guy.
Right.
Yeah, Shah Ismail.
But the Safavids, where are they based?
Isfahan, Iran.
In Iran. So not Hezbollah, right, up in Iraq, but still on the Iran side. So again, all of a sudden, we have these two, it's like the Byzantines and the Sasanians. Again, right? We have the Ottomans and the Safavids. But of course, you have 200, we're sort of jumping around a lot. But just to give you a sense of these sort of political balances. But what, beyond the length of time that these empires were in power, the other thing that's incredibly important, especially for the Safavids, is that at this point that Iran becomes a Shia. So it's not until 1501. The Battle of Karbala is what year?
1680.
680. You have to remember that. 680, Battle of Karbala, very important. Asterisk, remember that in the okay. Battle of Karbala, 680. It's not until 1501 that Iran becomes a Shia. And why that's important is that there's so many things when you read about in the news or politics or history that Iran is Shia, it's essentially Shia, there's something deeply Shia about Iranians. And you think, well, what happened between 680 and 1501? No Shia. I mean, some were Shia, some were not Shia, right? So there's something essentially Shia about Iranians necessarily, right? I mean, people have made an argument that there is something in the Zoroastrian religious notion that translated into Shiism, and that, perhaps there is something. But it's also really important to remember that Iran did not become, the Iranian Empire did not become Shia until 1500. Okay, just to give you one more empire. In 1785 to 1922, 25, 23. We have another empire in Iran called the Qajar Empire. So the Ottoman Empire sort of is present over some big empires in Iran, right? There's not just one. But the two big ones are the Safavids and the Qajars. And it's under the Ottomans and the Safavids and the Qajars that there's massive transformation that Gelman is talking about in world economic relations and world political shift. Right? We've gone through a lot of history in an hour and 15 minutes. But all of this will come back. People just start building it. And this is your quiz. Does anyone else need